If you're interested in creating your own graphics or icons, but you don't have access to PowerPoint or a robust graphics suite, might I suggest that you dabble in Google Slides? Hello, I'm Yvonne, and I'm happy to share with you today a quick tip about creating scalable vector graphics in Google Slides. Let's start by creating a new presentation. And we start off with this templated text. I'm going to delete it because I don't need it on my graphic. I'm going to change the size of this page to a custom size, 3 by 3, and I'm keeping it as inches. Normally I do digital graphics in pixels, but to keep it simple, we'll keep it as inches. Now the neat thing is I can change the background to transparent, which will become really handy. I can also right-click and choose that change background option there instead of on the bar. Today I want to create something like a restart icon. It's an icon I use quite frequently in my design, and I'm going to just drop this as a placeholder to kind of help me think through the shapes that I need to layer to create this icon. So first I need a curved shape, and the neat thing about this particular one is that I know that I can go in, and even if the shape I drew wasn't perfect, I can change the width and height to be pretty consistent. So I did 2.5 inches both ways, and if I click shift and drag to rotate 90 degrees, I'll have a nice half circle. I think of it like a half donut. And I can drag this to make that a 3/4 circle and even thin out that shape. Next, I want to create my arrow point, so I'm going to use this arrow and adjust it as I would like it to be. The really neat thing about creating your own icons or graphics is that you can decide how you want your image to look. So I take a little bit of time nudging things over or changing the rotation until it looks about right to me. And I'm going to just change the line and fill colors. And I'm double checking to make sure that it's the shape that I want, because this is customized. I can change this. And I'm just going to tilt it a little more. All right, that looks about right to me, except for maybe a few more nudges. Okay. So now that I have the shape that I want, I'm going to take away that reference that I put earlier, and I copied to have 2 different versions. This version I'm going to, I'm going to apply a drop shadow to this one, and if I increase the distance, you can see where that shadow is looming under the image, and I can even change the direction of where the light is coming and where the shadow will be cast. And now I'm thinking that I want to maybe blur that rough shadow edge so it's a little bit of a softer drop shadow. And all of these options are available under format options. All right, I think I'm happy with that as it is. So I'm going to select, if I can get it all, let me try that again. I'll just try to select each image, and I don't have to group these items, but sometimes it makes it easier if I want to be able to select it instead of having to struggle with selecting all. I'm going to rename my slide to rotate, because this will become the name of my SVG. And if I go to download Scalable Vector Graphic, this current slide, I will be able to view it as a scalable vector graphic, which always opens up in a browser window. It's the nature of the format. And the wonderful thing about Scalable Vector Graphics is, if you notice, even at a larger size, it's still a crisp image because it is a vector. And vectors are relatively generated based on points instead of on a bitmap or a raster, which is based pixel by pixel. I could go on and talk about that quite a while, but right now I'm just going to rename them so that it makes sense when I try to pull it into whatever file I want to use it in. But what happens if I decide later that I want to change the colors that I had used, if the project I want to use it in uses a different color scheme? Well, I can go right back into my cloud saved file and change the colors as I see fit. So because I grouped this one, changing those colors are a little easier. So taking that extra second to group it made a difference for that slide. And I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to download as a scalable vector graphic that current slide, and then select the next one and download it as a scalable vector graphic. The reason why I made two versions is so that when I place it in my actual file, I can decide which one works best for that file. And sometimes I'm not aware of that until I actually see it in the file. I don't need those first two, so I'm going to delete them. Normally I would also save them under the hexadecimal color I used for those, or another word for that color, like a dark teal. But in this case, I'm just going to rename the files that I want to be able to access, and the first is flat and the second had a shadow. I wanted to use a restart button in this challenge that I had submitted last week, and I realized later that I did not give the user a way to return to the beginning of the slide in case they wanted to experience it all over again. So I'm dropping in both of these to kind of get a feel for which one I like best in this case. And because I did use flat graphics that I drew in Storyline for this challenge, I'm going to stick with this flat rotate icon we made and resize it and place it where I want it. And I think that's it. I hope that this was helpful for you and that you make your own scalable vector graphics sometime soon, even in Google Slides. Thanks. Have a great day.